The primary reason we should be interested in having more women in senior positions, not just on the board, but even at the senior-most rungs of a company, is based on research undertaken by Credit Suisse in 2019. Some of this data is from 2019 and some is from a 2020 report. So it's fairly recent considering that after that COVID happened and things went even further downhill. But 17.6% of women will make such a huge difference that companies achieve significantly better results than their competition. In spite of this, female CEOs still make 4.4% of our universe. Boardroom diversity has actually increased globally from 9.6 in 2010 to 20.6, almost double. And what is the impact of this doubling on the companies that did it versus the companies that didn't? Well, the market is willing to pay a 19% premium price-to-book multiple for companies with a female ratio. So what are some of the statistics that you should pay attention to when you're addressing this question of female participation in leadership positions and at the board level? It's not about quota, it's about where that quota, which you are forced to take on, ends up taking you as a company. Especially if you're picking women, not because they're family, not because they're known to you, but because they have achieved something in the outside world. So companies that have a higher female participation, a significantly higher female participation of approximately 20% plus in the board and in senior leadership positions, have higher return on equity. The average ROE of such companies compared to ones with less than 15% participation of women shows 30% higher ROE on an average. Second, lower gearing. The net debt to equity ratio is 10% lower in such companies compared to the ones that have less than 10% women in senior positions. And I mean senior positions that take decisions. The Credit Suisse 3000 report 2021 states net debt to equity of companies with no women on the board was 50% over the past 6 years. Those with one woman were marginally lower at 48, but 28% of the companies with above average female representation had credit ratings of A- or higher. Higher price to book value multiples. In line with averagely higher ROEs, the premium P over BV ratio multiple for female CEO-run companies or companies that have higher female representation is 19%. In fact, the minute you put a female CEO in, the numbers skyrocket further. So 2.18 is the price to book value of companies run by female CEOs versus 1.84 with males. Higher dividend payout. Approximately 90% higher dividend consistently has been paid by companies that are run by women. Average growth of companies run by women is 14% compared to 10% with high-performance male CEOs. Finally, better profitability. The EBITDA margins for companies with over a 20% diversity threshold and or female CEOs is 15%, 1.6 percentage points higher. So whichever way you look at it, this is not about giving representation to women because you're doing some kind of social service or because it's necessarily just the right thing to do. There are also some very, very strong traits that women bring to the table, which I think are worth thinking about. So I like this question. What is it that women bring to the table? What is the difference? So I think that I'm going to take a step back. Just having more women in the organization is not going to make a whole lot of difference. What is going to make the difference is having more women leaders in the organization. And what is the kind of difference that they're going to bring? First of all, they're going to bring an outsider perspective. They're not part of the male network. They're not part of the status quo. So in many ways, just like people of different caste, class, creed, nationality, religions, linguistic minorities, cultural minorities, or just someone who's a minority in that specific organization, be it a North Indian in a South Indian high caste leadership team, or an Indian in an American company. What they bring is an outsider's perspective. And it's very important to understand the difference that an outsider perspective makes. So, what is different about women leaders? I think one general storyline that you will constantly see is that they seized an opportunity. They didn't necessarily come into that position by design. They didn't have a grand plan. Something happened, opportunities surfaced, and they grabbed them. But they grabbed the opportunities, not necessarily as much for themselves, as they use this opportunity to take the organization to the next level. And I think that the second trait that I have noticed is discipline. Women leaders don't typically pay the gender card. They don't typically pay any card. They just try to find a space for themselves, respect for themselves. They carry people with them. They know it's not easy to be in that position, and they need a lot of supporters. But most of all, they help people together, collaborate together, discerningly different outcome, whether it's financial, cultural, or taking the company to a completely new level. For example, my own case is such that I set up R&D when nobody believed that Indian companies could create R&D. And today we supply Audi, Mercedes, everyone, the world's who's who. And this is something that not many male leaders in my space in the late 1990s when I did that even dreamt was possible. So I think that at the end of it, women are fairly fearless. They're unfazed. They're unfazed by obstacles. They are unfazed by operational hindrances because, like my mantra, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. They actually get very excited by difficulty, by challenge, by something that is unexpected, like even a black swan event. It suddenly gives everyone a opportunity to, especially gives an opportunity to do something completely different that they always wanted to do because the risk is so low. So you will often find that when companies are undergoing financial difficulties, they hand it over to a woman because what do they have to lose? But those women really take the company completely into another level because they just look at difficulty like speed bumps and they continue to drive both mindsets, organizational changes, and better performance. So what can organizations do to create more women leaders? What can organizations do to create more leadership diversity? Both those questions will be answered by following the same rubric. There's actually a well-versed, well-documented methodology which works. There are three things that you need. One, you need role models. If you can't see people who are from your background, whether it is gender, whether it is a community, whether it is a certain cultural background, a linguistic group, if you don't see people from your caste, from your class, from that economic strata in leadership positions, you don't believe it's possible. So having role models who have actually achieved what you are telling other people that they can achieve is fundamental and core. So if your company has enough role models, it has leaders from diverse backgrounds, that is the first statement that you need to make to help others believe that this is possible. And they too should put in that effort to reach there. The second is mentors. Now, a mentor is not a person you meet once in a while. A mentor is someone who handholds you for years and years through the entire process, who's there to make you believe in yourself, who's there to help you overcome your obstacles, who's there to sometimes just smile at you and say, hang in there. So mentors are very important. And the third is network. What is the advantage that men have over women? What is the advantage that the majority community has over the minority communities? What is the advantage that those men in the corporate world who come from very privileged backgrounds and are privileged sons have over a hardworking professional woman who has all the same capabilities that they have? Network. So it's very important to create networks for diversity. And what I meant is to create networks that will take your company towards the diversity that you seek. So I'm going to leave you with a thought. I spend a lot of my time thinking about this paradoxical situation that women consistently perform better academically than men. Increasingly so. They're very well represented in academic institutions. On the other hand, we have data, which is Harvard Business School data. I'm happy to share it if anybody wants to reach out, which shows that women have higher levels of those competencies which are considered important in very effective leaders. So in other words, you would draw the conclusion, therefore women should or could be or are more effective leaders. The third bit of this paradox is that women are virtually absent in leadership. Consistently less than 5%, no matter where you look. So what is this strange but true story all about? Think about it. The one hint that I will give you is it has to do with the lack of objectivity in judging women versus the kind of exams and the kind of entrance tests that they go through. Think about it.